Hey everyone, if I say that iPadOS 26 saves the iPad or changes everything for the iPad, I don't really think that's an overstatement because this is a massive update. The last time I was this excited about iPadOS or even the iPad in general was iPadOS 16, which brought a whole bunch of great features like floating and resizable windows, which was a big deal, but I remember saying it still needed a lot of work and refinement, but that refinement never really came and I kind of just stopped using my iPad. At the time, it felt like Apple wasn't listening to what iPad users actually wanted. Until now. This new update, iPadOS 26, still in the developer beta of course, is a perfect preview of a massive reinvention of the iPad experience, and overall just a major update coming out this fall. Now, I've been using my iPad Pro for the past week intensively, and here are some of my favorite features of iPadOS 26. First off, it includes all of the new features of iOS 26, including the brand new full redesign with liquid glass, which has this sort of fluid glass-like look, which is more like a Frutiger Aero style. It's kind of like Windows Vista, but a lot more refined, with also many elements of macOS Aqua as well. It just feels really alive. The animations are much smoother, there's all these really cool effects, and definitely it is more than just a skin on top of iOS. It's the foundation of Apple's design for the next few years. You have the option for transparent icons, major iMessage updates, a redesigned phone app that's now available on the iPad, a fixed Photos app, which I'm very happy about, auto mix for seamless track transitions in Apple Music, and being able to pin albums as well, and so much more. It's a pretty big update and I'm still finding all the little features here and there, and I hope to do a full video on iOS 26 as well. But the biggest update for the iPad has to be multitasking. So now we have true floating windows that can be resized and placed anywhere, even off screen. There's no limitations here. More like a desktop computer, more like macOS. You can open as many apps as you want, I think. I don't know if there's any actual limits to the amount of apps you can open, but you can open a lot. And you can resize them, position them wherever you want, however you want. As big as you want, on screen, off screen, overlapping each other, it really doesn't matter. And this is huge because before, things were super limited and incredibly rigid, and honestly, I avoided using floating windows because of this and Stage Manager entirely. And every app that I've tested seems to work and scale properly, so that's pretty cool. But what really improves multitasking, at least in my opinion, are the new snapping window options. If you go to the top of any window, just like on a Mac, you now have control buttons: close, minimize, and full screen. I don't know why it took so long for Apple to introduce this, but at least it's finally here. But if you hover over the full screen button, you'll get additional windowing layouts and the option to snap windows to different parts of the screen. You can do split screen, 3 apps side by side, 4 apps all at once, and you can still have floating windows layered on top of that. And you can also snap apps to the top or bottom of the screen as well. It's super smooth, super well designed, and honestly, just like a Mac. You may have also noticed the new Mac-like cursor, which is basically just not a circle for a cursor. Like, this is a proper pointed cursor. It just makes selecting things and navigating so much easier and feels very precise. Another huge addition is the menu bar at the very top of the screen when you open up an app. It's just like on the Mac, with all of your options in one familiar spot for things like formatting, sharing, finding settings, and more. And it's kind of wild that it's finally on the iPad. It just makes things so much more smooth, so much more consistent, and also similar to the Mac. There's also the new Preview app, which is one of my favorite and surprisingly most used tools on macOS. It's perfect for viewing and signing PDFs, making small edits, scribbling down notes, and honestly, it's just one more thing I can do on my iPad without grabbing my Mac or getting a bunch of third-party apps. It's all built in. The Files app got some love here too, now with more detailed file info, customizable folders, and the option to pin these folders to your actual iPad dock for quick access. With fan or grid views, just like on the Mac, it makes grabbing your downloads or files super easy. There's also kind of this new live activity or progress bar feature now, so if you're exporting a big video or a file, you can leave the app and a progress bar appears at the very top of your screen while it continues in the background. It's a super simple thing, but it's very useful. So that's a look at some of my favorite iPadOS 26 features from my use over the past week or so. And while I did only mention a few things, there are many other changes here as well that also build on top of the already evolved iPadOS that Apple's been working on for many years. Things like editing off external drives, for example, a growing set of keyboard shortcuts with the new iPad Pro Magic Keyboard, finally a calculator app, and so many other improvements that Apple has introduced every single year now. And yeah, throughout this video I have said either intentionally or unintentionally that this is just like a Mac or very similar to the Mac or just like macOS, and that's kind of the trend here with the new iPadOS. It is very similar to macOS, and Apple's not giving us macOS on the iPad, which honestly I think is the right move. It would be a mess. macOS just isn't built for touch, but we're getting a lot of the best parts of macOS on the iPad. While I wouldn't want to see just like full macOS ported over to the iPad, I would like to see more Mac apps on the iPad, which hopefully over time we will get, because now we have basically the operating system. And yes, I know, don't come for me in the comments, I know it's very vastly different from macOS with the framework and overall structure of the operating system. I know it's very different, but just the overall experience here for the user is much more similar. This update brings over the best and most familiar parts of macOS, like the menu bar, floating windows, split screen, snapping layouts. It's just a much more desktop experience than we've had before. And all this new excitement for the iPad brings me back to the 2018 iPad Pro days, which, by the way, that iPad is still live, it's still supported, and it can run iPadOS 26, which is pretty crazy. That 2018 iPad Pro felt so fresh, so futuristic. I use it every day for school, for work. It felt incredible. And this update brings that energy back. The iPad is so back. And it feels like a next generation computer again. It's so fast, so fluid. You can use it like a traditional laptop, then detach it, write, draw, take notes, and interact with the OS on a touch-based level that feels more natural, something you just can't do on a Mac. And obviously this is beta software, it's not perfectly stable, I've had a bunch of bugs, a bunch of issues, and I wouldn't recommend installing it right away. Wait for the public beta, wait for the full release in the fall. There's going to be more features, things that are more refined, a better experience. It is best to just wait. But really my only complaint so far is just that it is buggy, and all this is hopefully going to be fixed by the fall. And I think Apple really saved the iPad with this update. I mean, many people, including myself, have really wanted to start using the iPad more and more and more, and finally it feels less like a chore to use the iPad and more like a actually exciting experience. There are many apps that I exclusively use on the iPad and not on my Mac, and being able to use it more like a full traditional computer just makes me want to stay using the iPad for even longer. This update also makes me wonder about future iPad hardware. Like, now we have this more desktop kind of software, what are we going to get hardware-wise? Maybe a bigger iPad, maybe an upgraded keyboard case? Who knows at this point, but right now, I am pretty excited by this update. And I want to hear your thoughts on iPadOS 26 in the comments down below. What do you like? What do you not like? What else should they add? Let me know, and like the video if you liked it. And of course, thank you for watching.